All right, welcome back everyone to another episode of BAM GPG. I'll be your host Ben,
And I'll be your co-host, Bryson.
and today, well, first, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube page here, and then you can also follow us on TikTok at bam.brands. Again, that's bam.brands, and remember to like and subscribe. So, Bryson, wanted to kind of run through our season, final season grades on both the offense and defensive side of the ball here. Kind of see where everything kind of stacked up, and then look at some of the obvious pieces where we need to see some improvement this year. So again, I want to start with the we'll kind of kick it off here, Bryson, with the defensive side here. So I'm going to go ahead and share with you here our final PFF grades on the season. So let's kind of start in the back half of the secondary here. So you got McKinney.
I kind of want to start with our worst player,
You want to start with our worst player? Okay, kick it off.
TJ Slayton.
Yep. So
Defensive grade 43, 115th out of 126. That's not good.
not impressive.
One defensive grade 44, 107th out of 140. Not good either. Pass rush game 74th out of 101. Not good.
No, so really, Slayton's not that guy, right? He's not true. He's not going to be your every down defensive interior lineman, right? So really, Green Bay utilized him this year, primarily on those rundowns, right, where we needed that big body in there to kind of slow down the run game. So just he wasn't a guy that we're expecting to get to the quarterback, just a guy to kind of really contain the run. But certainly not a great look when you kind of look at how he graded out this year overall. So let's look right next to him here. So let's take a look at Kenny Clark.
Defensive grade 60, 55th in the league. Decent. One defensive grade 49th in the league. Decent. Pass rush game 2.7, 48th in the league. And coverage grade 64.4.
Yeah, so if you, I don't know where that one's coming from. I mean, if you got Kenny Clark out there in the coverage, gonna have some issues. That'd be a Joe Barry type of scheme where you got your defensive lineman out there in coverage. So
His best season was 2018.
yeah, absolutely, and he's been a guy that's been with the Packers for a while now. Really been Mr. Consistent. Just
This year's been his worst year.
it has, and it's been a struggle at times this year. You look at Green Bay's front. Really had some issues getting to the quarterback, putting pressure on the quarterback. We weren't able to. There were times this year where it felt non-existent, right? It just felt like we're never getting that rush on the quarterback, and we're having to bring in blitz packages and some other schemes just to get that pressure. It didn't seem like our guys up front were creating that this year, and that to me. You look at Gary and Clark, and I think that truly impacted where they scored out this year, right? Because they're seeing a lot of double teams because of the guys opposite of them, right? Ingabare, Slayton, you throw in Wyatt. You're not allowing these guys to really just get that man on man and go to work. And I truly felt like that impacted their grades a little bit this year. So to me, if you're talking about obvious glares in the defense, I think it starts up front with the defensive lineman. I think Clark's a solid player, great complementary player. Yeah. And then taking a look at Gary, another guy, solid player. He's not that 1A. Yeah, he's a Pro Bowler, but he's not that guy like a TJ Watt. He's not going to be that 1A premier pass rusher, but great player. all due respect to him, he's a great player, great complimentary player, and I think his grade could potentially be higher if we were able to get another guy. It doesn't even have to be a guy at that caliber, but a consistent pass rush on the opposite side of him to where he's not being double teamed so often throughout the game. So looking at Rashawn Gary's season stats here, so his PFF grades for the year:
73 for defensive grade, 28th in the league. One defensive grade, 72.8, 21st in the league. And pass rush grade, 66.7, 50th in the league.
Yep.
In his best year, 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I can't remember if that was his injury season or not, or if it was the year coming back from that. I can't recall. But again, pretty solid run defensive grade on the year. You look at the pass rush grade, again, 66.7. Not where you need it to be, especially when he's going to be considered your top pass rusher, right? So, again, just echoing that, we're going to have to find some help on the defensive line, whether that be, diving into free agents or through the draft.
Yeah.
But we're certainly going to have to find that guy that, defensive interior lineman, a guy that kind of...
Especially of how tough our home schedule is.
Yes, it's going to be tough. Got some great offenses coming into Lambeau Field this year, too. So, going to have to improve on that. Looking opposite of Gary here, Kingsley,
Ingleberry.
Yeah, not great.
Defensive grade, 56.8, 88th in the league. One defensive grade, 66.6, 40th in the league. Pass rush grade, 56.8, 68th in the league. His best season, last year. Last year. 2023.
Yep. And last year, he was more of really was a rotational guy last year with Preston Smith getting the bulk of the snaps last season. And really earlier this season before he was traded away to Pittsburgh. But Lucas Van Ness, we were excited. I know you and I were both excited about him coming into the season. He just hasn't seemed to take that next step. Maybe coming into this next season, he can start to kind of figure things out and get it right. But as it looks right now, we're probably going to have to address that position this offseason. Clark and Wyatt, certainly wouldn't hurt to get another interior defensive lineman. But for sure, going to have to take a look at edge, right? As it sits right now, Van Ness hasn't shown that he's a guy. And Ingabari, he should be a rotational guy, right? He shouldn't be a guy that's going to be getting the bulk of the snaps at that position. And I think that really affected Clark's and Gary's production this year. I truly do. So, kind of getting away from the defensive line here, Bryson, let's take a look at cornerback. So, we'll start with this guy right here, Jair Alexander.
Defensive grade, 75.2, 17th in the league. Coverage grade, 78.3, 10th in the league. And one defensive grade, 57.8. Best season, 2020, by far.
Yeah, the COVID season.
He was actually first in the league in 2020.
He was, yeah. And then it seems ever since then, he struggled to stay on the field, even this year. And it's frustrating, right? When he is on the field, you see him getting the bulk of the snaps, finding that consistency out there. He is the top cornerback in the game. The issue is it's hard to keep him on the field. And for that reason, I think, there's probably a parting of ways this offseason between Green Bay and Alexander. Again, as we've mentioned, there's frustration on both sides, not because of the production he puts out when he is out on the field. It's just keeping him out on the field. So there's some frustration there. I fully expect Alexander to be in a new uniform next year. So clearly going to have to be a position, again, that Green Bay has to take a look at, whether it be, obviously you're probably draft some secondary help back there, but possibly taking a look at who's available in free agency. Possibly maybe a trade in the offseason. But looking opposite of him, Keyshawn Nixon. He's one of those guys that, to me, he's a rotational player. He did seem to kind of come into his own a little bit this year, but he's not your 1A guy, right? He shouldn't be your guy that you're going to be placing on a Justin Jefferson, right? Or a Jamar Chase, who we're going to see in Lambeau Field next year. He's not that guy to cover them. Certainly a great player, but we're going to have to take it. So cornerbacks, defensive linemen, to me, are the obvious clears in our defense going into
His
next season.
defensive grade was 64, 63rd in the league. His pass rush grade, I want to point out 92.7. Really good.
Fantastic for a cornerback.
And his coverage grade is only 60.7, 75th in the league.
Yeah, and you're looking at a cornerback. That should be the main grade that you're looking at when you're looking at a cornerback, right? Again, great player, great role player, right? Or rotational player, but he's not your 1A guy. He's not going to be your shutdown corner. Green Bay's going to have to go out and find that guy with Alexander seemingly with a foot out the door, right? So you're going to have to go out there and address that cornerback position. Absolutely no doubt about that. So want to work our way back here. Take a look at our linebackers here. Kind of start with Walker right here, a guy that Green Bay's super high on this guy, right? He dealt with a share of injuries this year, struggled to stay on the field. But when he was on there and able to string together some games, you really saw that he looks like he's ready to take that next step. And I know Green Bay, the organization on the whole, is high on him. McKinney just came out here a few days ago, praising him, saying that he fully expects him to be towards the top echelon of linebackers in the league. So looking at his defensive grades, rounded out at 57.4, certainly affected by his injuries and inability to.
Grade, 64.9, 49th in the league. Pass rush grade, 65.1, 19th in the league. Just not a good season overall.
No, and I think this is where you can't just take a look at the numbers and base it off that, right? So Quay obviously dealt with a lot of injuries, like we just said. Wasn't able to find that consistency on the field, but when and if he does, I think he's going to be just fine, right? I think he's on the up and up trajectory-wise, and, I fully expect big things out of him next season. So let's look at a bright spot this past year. Edgerrin Cooper. So rookie
defensive
linebacker.
Grade, 85.7, 4th in the league as a rookie. One defensive grade, 77.4, 21st in the league. Pass rush grade, 90. And coverage grade, 77.3. And the best season was this year. He's a rookie.
He's a rookie. Yeah, I mean, these aren't rookie numbers. But, certainly the sky's the limit for this guy. The score out 85.7 on your rookie season. If he was able to stay on the field for the entirety of the season.
I think he would have won Rookie of the Year if he did.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the rookie defensive player of the year. Absolutely, no doubt, Brayson.
I think Rookie of the Year, offense and defense.
Yeah, amongst them all, you think he's probably top. And I think you probably have an argument with that one. Run defense, solid, 77.4. Pass rush grade, 90. We needed that this year. And he really stepped up in a big way when he was on the field. He was certainly a difference maker. Even coverage, that's something that Green Bay linebackers have struggled with the last several years. 77.3, it's pretty solid, especially when you're talking about a rookie linebacker. So I don't know how much better you can get, but I fully expect big things out of him again moving forward in year two. So really high on Cooper. I know the Packers are really high on Cooper, so should be fun to see him kind of progress even further this next year. So let's take a look at our safeties while we're on the topic of rookies here. Evan Williams.
Evan Williams, yep. Defensive grade 72.5, 23rd in the league. Pass rush grade 57.4. Coverage grade 73.8, 16th in the league. And then one defensive grade 61, 73rd in the league. And overall this season, it was his best season. He's a rookie.
Yeah, again, not as shining as Cooper, but fantastic numbers. You know he was tested this year, right? So McKinney.
And he also has a brother that plays for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I believe he's out there in Miami. But again, we're talking about a rookie putting up these numbers, especially a guy that was getting tested because the teams were staying away from McKinney towards the latter part of the season. So this guy held his own. Overall grade 72.5 as a rookie. Fantastic. Coverage grade 73.8 for a safety. Again, you're talking about a rookie who's getting challenged. Teams are scheming to go towards him to stay away from McKinney. And he played well. He was up for the challenge. So I expect big things out of him next season. As everyone, pending injuries, I expect big things out of him next year. So pretty excited about him. Another home run for Gutekunst in the draft. So yeah, exciting, nothing but exciting things for Williams here coming in the next season. So
And
the other
then
safety, yeah, go ahead.
Xavier McKinney. Defensive grade 84.7, 4th in the league. Pass rush grade 72.5. Coverage grade 90.2, 2nd in the league. One defensive grade 67, 57th in the league. And this was his second best season.
Yeah, yep. So he had a great year this past season. So you got to keep in mind this guy's young. I mean, he's 25.
He had a really good season last year with the Giants, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's just coming into his prime. He's only going to get better. It's hard to, you have a 90.2 coverage grade, but you you expect that out of someone 28, 29 has been in the league a while, but this guy's 25 years old, Bryson. He's going to improve. It's going to get better. All the more reason to be excited about our safeties, Evan Williams, because as I mentioned, they're staying away from McKinney back there. So you got solid safeties. They're going to have to target him some. 90.2 coverage grade, second out of 96 safeties. Fantastic, right? Pass rush, we've sent him off the edge here a few times.
Yeah, I don't know why the Giants let go of him last year. He was really good last year.
Giants had an interesting offseason last year, didn't they?
Yeah.
Decided to
Let go of Xavier McKinney and Saquon.
Let go of them both. Yeah, they didn't want to pay him. Simple as that.
They should have.
They gave all that money to Daniel Jones and
did not work out that good.
Didn't work out for him. Daniel Jones is not on the team going into the 2025 season. So Giants are they're in some trouble. They got a lot of pieces to fill. They drafted a wide receiver this past draft, which was interesting. I guess they were all in on Daniel Jones, and they went out and got that receiver, and now they're going to have to go out and get a quarterback and develop them. They don't have the support of the run game with Saquon gone, so
yeah, I feel like they went the wrong way though. You should go after a quarterback first and then a wide receiver.
100%. Develop the quarterback when he's ready. Get him the pieces around him, but they were all in on Daniel Jones. I guess I would really question their front office, their scout teams, who were telling him or kind of swaying him in that direction. So Interesting. They're obviously in a complete rebuild, but yeah, absolutely. They let go of some key pieces last season. As a Packer fan, I appreciate it. Thank you. But they're certainly going to be in a full rebuild. There's no doubt about that. So
They just made it even harder on themselves.
they did. Absolutely. So let's flip over across the field here, Bryson. Take a look at our offensive side.
I want to talk about our O-line first.
You want to start on the O-line. So let's go ahead and start with Walker. So
Offensive grade 68.6, 41st in the league. Pass block grade 80.1, 18th in the league. And run block grade 64th in the league, 53.5 was his grade. And this was his best season. Better than last year.
yeah, I feel pretty solid about Walker. Will they keep him at left tackle? I'm guessing they probably will, but he has the ability to move inside and play guard if needed to. Much like a lot of Green Bay tends to draft their linemen or bring in linemen that have the versatility to play, across the line, whether it's tackle, guard, center. They like having that flexibility because you're in the trenches there. You're going to see some injuries throughout the season, so having that flexibility to play other positions up front really helps. But 68.6, right about middle of the pack, 41st out of 81. Pass block grade, fantastic. 80.1. Jacob certainly appreciates that. Run block grade, certainly improve on that, especially being at a left tackle, being on that blind side of the quarterback. Certainly would like to see some improvement on his pass block. All right, I had that backwards, his run block. So his pass block was 80.1, excuse me. So great pass block, needs to improve on his run block. So Jacobs would appreciate him improving on his run blocking there at left tackle. So let's move into Jenkins.
Offensive grade 65.5. 32nd in the league out of 77. Pass block grade 81.6. First in the league out of 73. Run block grade 41st out of 73. And best year 2021.
Yeah, so another guy, great pass blocking. Need to see him step up on his run blocking a little bit, but he's one of those guys that's versatile. He can play across the board again. He's certainly a guy that you hope to have around for a while. Absolutely. So let's move to center. This is where it gets interesting for Green Bay, right? Taking a look at Josh Myers.
Yes. Offensive grade 54.2, 38th out of 40. So there was only two guys below him. Pass block grade 62.5, 23 out of 39. And one block grade only 50.9, 36 out of 37th. Only one guy below him. I do not know who.
Not good. Not good. You're looking at
and
a
this
center.
is our starting center.
This is our starting center. So he's the guy that I fully anticipate being gone this offseason. But Green Bay could hold on to him just as one of those guys you can rotate in there during the season, given injuries and things of that nature. But certainly shouldn't be a guy out there, as a starter. He's definitely a try-hard guy, right? Seems to be a fantastic teammate, but his production on the field just doesn't seem to be there, whether it's pass blocking, run blocking. Really need to go out there and take a look at center. That possibly we have the guys in-house already, right? You could, like I said, you can move Jenkins there. Jordan Morgan's, hopefully we get him back, our first-round pick this past season. Get him in there. He's probably more suited at guard. Played a lot of tackle in college, but you're probably more suited at guard. You can slide Jenkins in the center. So we'll see. But we may have that guy in house. But Myers certainly doesn't appear to be that guy, right? So certainly going to see some change at center. I would think going into next season. So Sean Ryan, let's talk about him here.
Offensive grade 61.3, 46th in the league. Pass block grade 65.6, 33rd in the league. And run block grade 58.7, 48th in the league. Not a good performance.
Yeah, not solid, but it's not the worst either. Kind of middle of the pack on everything. Certainly, I don't know how much that's affected by the play at center or the guys around him, but certainly could see improvement out of there. And again, we expected Jordan Morgan to take one of these spots this year, and he just hasn't been able to find the field this year due to injuries. So, we do have a first-round pick in the waiting, ready to get on that line, but certainly our pass blocking grade this year was probably the highlight. Seems to be our strength, of that offensive line. And then really a guy that I think everyone was really high on there at right tackle here.
Zach Tom. Offensive grade 85.8, 6th in the league. Pass blocking grade 81, 15th in the league. Run block grade 87.8, 3rd in the league. Best season this year.
Yeah, and Zach Tom is the guy. He's 25 years old. He's going to continue to improve. Fantastic numbers this year. To grade out at 85, 81 on pass block, 87 on run blocking. Certainly the highlight of Green Bay's offensive line this year. A guy that I really feel like he solidified himself as a tackle this season. I fully expect him to be back in that role this next coming season. I don't see a lot of change coming out of our tackles going into next season. I think Walker and Tom are probably the guys. I think where you start to see change is your guards and center.
Now, I don't know if the Madden CEO is watching this, but I'm pretty sure Zach Tom's only like a 60-something overall, so got to do something about that in Madden.
Yes. So Madden Raiders, if you're watching this, Zach Tom, help us out here. So let's, while we're kind of staying on some of the bigger guys up front here, let's take a look at tight end here, Bryson.
I'm surprised he was not a Pro Bowl, Tucker Kraft. Offensive grade 67.8, 23rd in the league. Receiving grade 71, 19th in the league. And run block grade only 54.3, 53rd in the league. Yeah. Best year, way better than last year.
Yeah, he really came into his own this year, and he's a guy, again, I think going into next season, you're going to see huge improvement, even from year 1 to 2. I think you're going to see more improvement from year 2 to 3. 24 years old, tight end. He certainly, if I had to compare him to somebody that he reminds me of, it'd be an Iowa tight end, George Kittle. He reminds me a lot of Kittle, right? He just kind of has that drive, that mentality that you need as a tight end. The guy's obsessed with football, loves football. He's everything you would want in a tight end. And I think it's going to help him next season if we can go in with a healthy Luke Musgrave as well. So needs to improve on his run block grade a little bit, but I'm okay with that if he's putting up the numbers, continues to put up numbers and improve on his receiving game. So certainly a guy with a lot of drive, a lot of energy, and somebody I expect to be a superstar here in the league in the years to come. So offensive line, see a little bit of change there. Tight end, solid. Not going to see any change. Don't really need to address that this offseason. Wide receiver group. I don't see a lot of change, but I think there needs to be an addition, right? We need to find a guy that I personally think we need to find that premier guy, right? We need to find a guy that can take the pressure off of guys like Dobbs and Reed. And, when Watson is healthy, a guy that can, if defenses are playing us a man, we need a guy that can beat that man coverage consistently, make them respect that pass game a little bit more. So let's take a look at Romeo Doubs here first.
Offensive grade 69.7, 55th in the league, and receiving grade 71, 54th in the league. Decent season.
Yep, pretty decent
Not
season.
his best.
No, you saw a
Last
little bit of
year.
regression from last season, like you were pointing out. There is a little bit of regression. I mean, Jordan Love had his injuries first part of the year. It's just hard to find that consistency when your quarterback's struggling to stay on the field, right?
Yeah.
But to me, Dobbs is Mr. Reliable. He dealt with some injuries this year, a little concerning with the concussions towards the end of the season. So we'll see how that plays out going into next season, but certainly Romeo Doubs is definitely a solid option across the receiver board. Now, this guy, Bryson, Jaden Reed.
Offensive grade 71.7, 49th in the league. Receiving yards 71.6, 50th in the league. And one grade 63.5, 6th in the league out of 9 receivers. A little bit of regression from last season, just a tad bit.
It is. This is a tricky one too, right? So towards the first half of the season, Jaden Reed seemed to be that guy that was going to step up and be that number one guy. Electric, exciting, making all the big catches, and then where'd he go? He disappeared for a bulk of the middle of the season. So that's tough. Was it a scheme issue? Was it a coaching issue? Was it a quarterback issue? Not, being able to find that consistency, get on the same page with him. But Reed's a tricky one. He's certainly a guy that appears to be ready to break out and take on that role, but he really disappeared after the first half of the season here. So tricky one. We'll see where his head's at coming in this next season, but definitely a guy I'm excited about, somebody who I think can take that next step when needed. So let's finish it out here, Bryson, with Watson. We know he's injured. Probably not going to see him until week 12 or later next year. And when we do, I don't expect to see the Watson, or 100% Watson, right? He's going to be coming back off a major knee injury. Guys typically.
I feel like week 15 we'll see him.
Yeah, and Green Bay's usually cautious on injuries, right? They don't rush guys back. They take their time, make sure they get it right. But, knee injuries are tricky, right? We saw that with Bakhtiari and some of our other guys. They're tricky. And they're usually not 100% until several months after recovering. So I don't expect big things out of Watson next season, but hopefully he can get things right and we can see a completely healthy Watson in 2026. But with Watson being out, we're going to have to address that wide receiver role. A lot of, as we mentioned some of our other episodes, there's a lot of options out there. If you're not looking at a draft, which Green Bay typically doesn't draft wide receivers real high. So if we're going to get that guy, it's looking like we're probably going to have to address it through free agency, through a trade if it were to be a guy like Devontae Adams or a T. Higgins, because T. Higgins isn't going to walk from Cincinnati. At the minimum, they're going to franchise tag him. I think he'll stay in Cincinnati, but if you're going to get a T. Higgins, they're not going to just let him walk, right? So you're probably going to have to make a trade for a guy like that. But certainly, it's a position Green Bay is going to have to address this offseason. So just kind of recap it all here, Bryson. On offense,
Yeah.
we're solid at quarterback, solid at running back.
We're actually really good at running back.
Yeah, I mean, Jacobs had a fantastic season.
Yeah.
His
His
overall
offensive grade 92.3, third in the league. One grade 91.3, fourth in the league, and receiving grade 89.2, third in the league.
Yeah, definitely, a career season. I mean, Josh Jacobs, 26, going to be 27 this upcoming season, but fantastic. He's definitely a focal point in this offense, and we're going to need him moving forward. Hopefully we can keep him healthy, keep him out on the field. And he's going to have some relief coming up. Hopefully this next season. Emmanuel Wilson looked great, but we're also going to have the rookie we drafted next season. If we can get him on the field this coming season, really excited to see what he can do. Take some of that pressure off Jacobs, take some of the load off of him, some of the demand off his body. So, hopefully we'll be playing late into next season. So I don't think we have taken a look at Jordan Love yet. So just want to cover him real briefly here. Again, these numbers are hard to read because he wasn't on the field consistently this year, especially towards the first half, and just kind of some lingering issues with injuries. I never felt personally, it just seemed like something was off with his accuracy, his timing. It just felt like, there was something off. I think it just felt like the injuries were lingering the entire season. He just didn't feel right, didn't feel like the Jordan Love from the previous season. And hopefully this offseason does him well. We can get him back 100% healthy heading into next season, and then we can kind of refine that. You kind of get some of that magic back that we saw towards the end of 2023. So his overall offensive grade, 75.8, 20th out of 42 quarterbacks, middle of the pack. Pass grade, 74.3, 18th, again, middle of the pack. Run grade, because of his injuries, you really didn't see. There were lanes where Jordan Love could have taken off this year and picked up some yards. You saw that with Malik Willis, able to use his legs quite a bit when he was in there. But Love didn't seem to want to tuck that ball. And I just don't think he felt right. So I'm hoping he can kind of get everything under control this offseason. We'll see him coming into next season, find his rhythm again. That's what we need Love to do. Need him to find his rhythm. Need a little more accuracy out of him. So he's got some work to do, but he's certainly our guy. Loves our guy, loves our quarterback of the future. Excited about him. He's 26 years old, still young. He's going to be great for the Packers. So
Just starting to get into his prime.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Just need to find him that guy. We shore up our offense, I think, by addressing one or two pieces in the offensive line and adding that 1A guy on the outside at wide receiver. And I think our offense is going to be just great. We're going to have to schematically, it kind of felt like things kind of just were dull towards the end of last season, but I think LaFleur will probably get that corrected. Defensively, again, we feel great about our safeties. Linebackers, I think we feel great about our linebackers. Cooper, Walker, I think they're going to be fantastic. Defensive line, we're halfway there, right? We're halfway there. We're going to have to, this is probably an area that we address through the draft, but we're going to have to get an edge guy opposite of Gary. And then cornerbacks, so defensive line, cornerback, certainly going to be areas that Green Bay has to address this offseason, whether it be free agents or the draft, going to be a high emphasis this year on the defense. So that's what we got for you today, guys. Kind of broke that down a little bit. And then some of the coming episodes, what we'll do is we'll take a look, Bryson. We can kind of, maybe we'll run through some mock drafts. What do you think of that? Yeah. So we'll there we go. So we'll break down some of the drafts. We'll cover a little bit more free agency, what's out there as things kind of progress. We'll get a better idea where things are heading, where teams' heads are at, with some of the players they have, such as T. Higgins, right? Players like that. But we'll certainly take a little deeper look into what's available there in the draft. And
we'll cover some NBA. A lot of trades are going on right now.
Yes, Bryson's pretty excited about the NBA. As you mentioned, he's a big Boston fan, so he's green all the way around. Packers, Celtics. So he's living the high life right now, coming off that NBA championship out there. And Boston certainly looks to have another great team this year. So, as you mentioned, there's been some pretty wild trades already in the NBA. So, certainly a topic we can cover here in the offseason, Bryson.
And there's going to be some more, I'm assuming, through the night.
Yeah, yep. Trade deadline's fast approaching here. Only got a few days left. So there'll certainly be some moves
Isn't
there.
it February 6th?
Yes, I believe so. Yep. So should be some action there. But again, we'll try to cover some of that. Try to cover more of some of the off season, and we'll keep you guys updated.
And as always,
Go Pack, go!